Coming up on AgweekTV, the latest on the fate of a controversial carbon pipeline planned to go through the region. We kick off a series of special reports on rural development with a visit to a dairy that's proud to be part of a small town. Our AgWeek corn and soybean tour checks the crop in central North Dakota. And mum's the word this time of year on this small North Dakota farm. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Emily Beal. Summit Carbon Solutions will get a second chance to make its case for a carbon capture pipeline through North Dakota. Regulators there and in South Dakota denied the company's permit applications, but North Dakota has agreed to reconsider. The 2,000-mile pipeline would capture greenhouse gas emissions from ethanol plants in 5 states to be stored underground west of Bismarck. Summit says the project will benefit the ethanol plants and corn growers, but some landowners have been resistant to provide a voluntary easement for the project. Most of the northern plains in the upper Midwest is considered rural. In this month's AgWeek special report, Growing Rural, we look at what's going on to strengthen the economics of these areas and how agriculture development fits into that. I visited Pride Dairy in Bottineau, North Dakota, where they're strengthening their rural economy for almost a century. It's this week's AgWeek cover story.
Our sole focus now is Pride Dairy.
Chris Allard and his wife Tanya bought Pride Dairy in 2018. The dairy has a rich history, first opening its doors in Bottineau, North Dakota in 1930. Pride Dairy began as a co-op in the 30s, where local farmers brought in their excess cream. But in 1950, with the help of refrigeration, Pride Dairy set its sights on producing ice cream along with its other dairy products and never looked back. For Allard, keeping the business in the same building it began almost a century ago and in the Bottineau community was important.
That's how I was born and raised, is in a small town in Nebraska, so I know the value of how the community all comes together and supports one another. And it's not just this community, it's a state. The state of North Dakota is big on manufacturing and products that are made within the state, so that was just a small part of why we wanted to get into this business.
Sourcing milk locally can greatly help a rural community's economy. Jim Sulphur, University of Minnesota Extension educator, urges people and businesses to support local farmers.
So I think it is really important to keep those buy locally and help keep those small farms in business. There's just this tremendous consolidation going on, and I think one thing we can do is if we buy locally, it helps support the price locally a lot because of transportation, and that really can help our local communities.
We try to source as much as we can locally throughout the state. Dairy farms, it's getting fewer and far between. We do what we can to source as much locally with our choke cherries, our June berries, and as much of the dairy products we can.
While Allard has done everything he can to honor and preserve the history of Pride Dairy, he is excited for a new venture within the business.
You'll see here in the next couple of weeks our new line of pints and ice cream sandwiches. It's under the O line, and we wanted to come up with a name that tied to the Midwest roots, and we tend to use that term a lot. And when we found out when we were sampling, that was usually the first thing that came out of somebody's mouth was, oh.
You can read much more in the next AgWeek magazine and at agweek.com. A small city in southeast Minnesota is benefiting from the USDA's new Rural Development Program. USDA's grants are putting $800 million into rural infrastructure programs across the country. Minnesota is getting $230 million of that. Mazeppa's city administrator says the town's wastewater treatment plant is in the final stages of its life cycle. Mazeppa will use about $6 million in loans and $6 million in grants to build the new plant. Without them, Administrator Carl Nargang says the cost to replace it is more than their small community can bear.
We would not have any affordable housing because our taxes would have to be so high. So these grants and stuff are kind of a lifesaver.
The new plant is expected to break ground in 2024 and will take nearly 2 years to build. Ag producers and rural small businesses can invest in renewable energy and energy-efficient improvements through USDA's grants of more than $4 million. Scott Osborne's farm in Fairmont, North Dakota is one of the 31 projects awarded in the state. This funding is helping him install a new energy-efficient grain dryer.
Allows me to move into a very efficient dryer. It's going to be 66% more efficient than what I'm using currently, and with the amount of bushels we dry every year, I could see a savings of about $20,000 to $25,000 a year. So with the grant, it allows me to pay that loan off for the dryer in about half the time.
The grant will help pay up to 40% of the grain dryer project, allowing Osborne to install a new dryer rather than a used one. Up next on AgweekTV, our corn and soybean tour continues with a look at where a hot, dry summer means an early harvest.
There's no easy button, no guarantees, or promises of a good year. This is farming. It's unpredictable and demanding, with long days and sometimes stressful nights. It's weathering the storms and coming out successful. Farming isn't for everyone. We thank those who make it their life, because it is for everyone.
So in 2017, RTD developed a thing called Whip Drain, and it is a drainage and aeration platform for many types of stockpiles. Sand or aggregates, sugar beets or potatoes. We can drain the water away from the product, and we can also force air into the platform and aerate the whole bottom of it. We've designed it so you can operate 988 cat loaders. I think they weigh about 140,000 pounds. Whip Drain is engineered to withstand that type of treatment.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Bremer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
Life at Butler Machinery is more than just a workplace. It's a place where I've met quality people that have helped me grow to who I am today. They're more than simply coworkers to me. They're my team. They're people that I can rely on and that rely on me to complete the day-to-day tasks. Butler truly values their technicians with ongoing training throughout the year to keep us up to date on our products. Join the Butler family like I did. Apply today at butlermachinery.com/lifeatbutler.
The National Agricultural Genotyping Center is conducting a statewide sampling survey for herbicide resistance in Palmer amaranth, water hemp, and kochia. The goal of this survey is to determine where and what herbicide-resistant traits are found in North Dakota. Collection kits consist of 4 envelopes, 3 envelopes for Palmer amaranth and water hemp from pigweed, and 1 envelope for a suspected herbicide-resistant kochia plant. For more information about the survey and where to pick up your collection kit, please contact your local North Dakota County Extension agent.
Thank you to our sponsors: Butler Machinery, North Dakota Corn Council, North Dakota Soybean Council, Bremer Bank, Peterson Farm Seed, Crary Ag, and Farmers Mutual of Nebraska.
Our AgWeek corn and soybean tour continues this week. We check out the corn and soybean crop in northeast North Dakota, where dry growing conditions accelerated corn and soybean development. Peterson Farm Seed agronomist Paul Bromley says that area has been hit especially hard and yields are reduced. A wet spring delayed corn planting until mid-May and bean planting until late May. Then the weather turned from excessively wet to hot and dry for the rest of the season. Bromley says that caused the corn to mature early, but he says the maturity varies widely in each field. He says the dryness is also causing ear drop. So if farmers are seeing that, they might want to harvest their corn.
Traditionally, right, we've always tried to get soybeans off and then corn is the last crop. But on years like this, sometimes it's the wiser decision to get the corn off, even if you have to dry it before the soybeans. This year, it's going to be all over the board. It's going to be like musical headers there for a while, I'm afraid, here coming in the next couple of months.
Bromley says the good news is dry conditions mean very little disease, so farmers were able to cut way back on herbicides. Our tour now takes us to central North Dakota, where Jenny Schleck stopped to look at the corn crop.
Thanks, Emily. I'm here with Ashley Wolf, North Dakota State University Extension Agriculture and Natural Resources Agent for Stutsman County. And we're here with a field of corn. Ashley, what can you tell me about the corn crop this year in this region?
Yeah, kind of like we were even talking earlier. You know, it's been pretty dry out, drier than usual. We've had quite the long period of stretches here. Getting corn in late, it might have been a worry if we were going to harvest on time or not, or if we were going to get pushed back. But with how dry it's been, it's matured a lot quicker than we were expecting. So within the next few weeks, I can already tell you farmers are already thinking about harvest is on their mind, and they're going to get in on time for the most part.
And with that dryness, are we seeing much of a yield below normal, or it seems like a lot of this has really taken off?
Yeah, so that was a worry at the beginning of planting season, but with that heat, it's actually really made the corn prosper, and it's going to be about average. You know, there's going to be periods that's going to be a little lower than normal, but for the most part, generality, it's going to be about average.
Any pests that we've had any concerns with this year?
We did have a little bit of grasshoppers come through at the end of the season. It has been worse in the past, so it's just been kind of one of those things that farmers are used to dealing with, I like to say. Wish we could not have to deal with it at all, but it has been worse last year. Other than that, there hasn't been a substantial yield loss due to any insects in both corn or soybeans. We're seeing a lot of the weeds that have made it through the herbicide applications, and so we're seeing resistant kochia come through still. There's been quite a bit of water hemp this year, I've noticed, around the county. And then also barnyard grass. That's been noted quite a bit still throughout the fields, many fields through the county. So those are just some weed management things that I've noted.
Thank you, Ashley.
Soybeans are a top U.S. agricultural export, bringing in more than $34 million in 2022. But some farmers are advocating for their soybeans to stay in the country and even their local communities. Bob Worth, president of the Minnesota Soybean Growers Association, is a soybean advocate who says construction of more soy processing plants is a worthwhile investment that helps both the farmers and rural communities.
Farmer gets $1 in his pocket, he'll multiply that 7 times in the community, which is big for our towns. So whenever you get a crush plant in an area, it is a good thing for everybody, community and the farmer.
4 out of every 10 rows of soybeans in Minnesota are exported. Ahead on AgweekTV, we'll visit a ranch where fall means calving season.
For home delivery of AgWeek, log on to agweek.com or call 800-811-2580.
Our environment affects us all. It guides how we use our land, what we grow, and where we call home. For decades, we've equipped our clients with comprehensive environmental solutions and confidence to build their projects. Our team of environmental specialists are experts in navigating complex regulatory environments and finding solutions to build a sustainable future for everyone. More engineering, improving lives by building strong communities.
The story of a farm is the story of a family. From generations past to generations to come, families have raised their children and the crops that sustain our country on the same fields. Today, with a better nitrogen, farmers can continue to take care of what matters most, the land they work and the people they do it with.
Getting down to business on the farm means hitting the office early, making sure your team's ready to go, getting updates from the field, and talking with your management team. At Brimmer Bank, we understand the business of farming and how to protect and grow your operation, so you can be sure your present and your future are in good hands.
Cray welcomes you back for the 2nd annual Full Pot event. Join us with the Millennial Farmer, Brian of Brian's Farming Videos, Larson Farms, and Tony Fass at Fast Ag Montana.
Come see me, Tony Fast, Fargo, North Dakota at the Crary's Full Pod event, November 30th. For details, go to crary.com/fullpod.
Don't miss Crary's Full Pod event, Thursday, November 30th at the Fargo Holiday Inn. Get your tickets today at crary.com/fullpod.
Built in North Dakota and delivered across the Midwest, every Pinky home is a custom home, designed for your family, built by ours. And with our on-site lumberyard and generations of experience, we can help build the home of your dreams without breaking your budget. Build something that lasts. Build with Pinky Homes. Get to know us and see all of your customization options at pinkyhomes.com.
AgWeek weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
Fall is officially here, but what does that mean for the region's forecast? Here's John with our AgriWeather Outlook.
This 2-week weather outlook will cover the last week of September and the first week of October. Sometimes that can be a transitional time of year. Obviously, as the deeper we get into October in general, the more we lose the summeriness of the weather pattern and it begins to look like fall. I'm not seeing a big trend toward cold weather or even chilly weather, but I do see some substantial rainfall in some parts of the northern plains and upper Midwest, areas that have been very dry. This would be excellent news. It would be good moisture recharge before the winter season in some areas. Might have some interference with harvest. But the overall pattern I expect to remain generally mild, at least for the time being. So let's look at the pattern right now. Jet stream is primarily troughiness in Alaska, cold weather up in Alaska, troughiness through the North Pacific. Jet stream then enters the United States. There is a big low pressure system in the northern plains at the beginning of this period, the weekend before the last transition into October, and then the jet meanders on to the eastern United States. This storm is going to weaken and push eastward, and that will leave us with a trough ridge pattern, which will keep the weather relatively mild throughout the northern plains over the course of the week. There will be some rain showers in the Midwest that will keep temperatures a little cooler. The hot weather, the 80s and the 90s, we're pushing that mostly further south as we approach the latter days of the month of September. But this is not a pattern in the northern plains, the western Great Lakes, that looks like it's about to be the month of October. Although cold weather is all over the northwest corner of the continent, it seems to be mostly staying there. By the end of the week, I expect we'll see a little bit of a split flow pattern developing, and that's one that is not likely to bring down any remarkably cold weather. And in fact, much of the northern plains will remain warmer than average this week. As we transition now into October, the trough in the west will bring weather cold enough for snow down into the northern Rockies, but I don't really anticipate that moving out into the Great Plains as a big snowstorm. Instead, it will be cooler, but nothing really particularly cold, and the warm weather will continue across the south, although the only real hot temps will be down in the far southern part of the country. As far as precipitation goes, fairly dry weather in central Canada and the southwest, rain further north, snow in the northwest. A good chance as we begin this period over the weekend of rain in the northern plains. Thunder showers will likely reform in the lower Mississippi Valley and in the southeastern states, perhaps enhanced in a week or so by some tropical activity. More showers in the northern plains the first week of October, while the southwest U.S. goes dry. The only snow in the Canadian Rockies.
Seriously?
The simplicity, I mean, it's a complicated planter, but it's also simple. That row meter is just very simple and it just seems to work. I liked it just having that tube delivering the seed with an airstream and not having to have extra belts on it or extra electric motors and stuff. A lot of this machinery seems like it's almost getting overly complicated. The simpler that it can work, but do what it's supposed to do, I think this machine can definitely do that.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Why I ultimately choose them is they handled everything from the site prep, the dirt work, the gravel. The electricians were all excellent, and they're very knowledgeable in the dryer setups themselves. They made sure that they designed me a system that was expandable years into the future. It was a long-term encompassing project, and that's what I appreciate about their knowledge. I'm Ethan Hansen from Blanchard, North Dakota, and I would definitely recommend Advanced Grain for all your grain storage handling needs.
The story of a farm is the story of a family. From generations past to generations to come, families have raised their children on the crops that sustain our country on the same fields. Today, with a better nitrogen, farmers can continue to take care of what matters most: the land they work and the people they do it with.
Traditionally, you may not think September is the time of year to see fresh baby calves hitting the ground. But for those that fall calve, calving season is well underway.
At Scarborough Ranch near Hayes, South Dakota, half of their cattle herd fall under a fall calving season rotation.
Works really well to have the two herds. It kind of divides up the work. And then there's things like we have to have less bulls because we can use them for both herds, and sometimes you never know what the market is going to be different times of the year. There's just pros and cons to both, and so it helps to diversify.
With fall calving, you see less challenges during actual calving than you do in the spring, but as winter comes, there can be some different issues.
The calving part is the easy part. The challenges definitely come later because those calves are like going into the winter younger, and so we have to be a little more careful with just them getting sick and stuff and making sure they have protection.
It can also be harder on the cows.
The cows are breeding back at the hardest time of the winter too, so we have to feed them a lot. That can be very high cost, but we do end up getting some of that cost back in just hitting the market at a different time.
But when the fall calves are being born, it's a lot less stressful than in the spring.
Obviously, there's no snow out here, and it's just much nicer. Just so much less stress on the cattle and on us, and we even tend to have lower birth weights in the fall just because of just what the cows are going through up before calving. And so it's been really easy.
Scarborough Ranch has already had around 160 calves this fall and have around 25 left to calve. They expect to wrap up calving in the next couple of weeks. Coming up on AgweekTV, long after other flowers have given up, mums get their chance to shine, and thousands of them come from this North Dakota farm.
Life at Butler Machinery is more than just a workplace. It's a place where I've met quality people that have helped me grow to who I am today. They're more than simply coworkers to me. They're my team. They're people that I can rely on and that rely on me to complete the day-to-day tasks. Butler truly values their technicians with ongoing training throughout the year to keep us up to date on our products. Join the Butler family like I did. Apply today at butlermachinery.com/lifeatbutler.
Get a jump on next season's crop. Before you put your planter away after the planting season, bring it to the experts at Titan Machinery for a full inspection. Titan Machinery service technicians have the experience and training to inspect your Case IH planter and get it in optimal condition for next season. Get a head start on next season and get the peace of mind that your planter is ready when you store it for the winter. Contact the planter experts at your local Titan Machinery Case IH dealership today.
Risk management is not just for the grains. Livestock producers, did you know you too can protect the price for your production? Livestock Risk Protection, or LRP for short,
is a great tool to help you protect the price of your calves. Cattle producers can also protect their pasture and hayland from lack of rainfall with pasture rangeland forage or PRF insurance. This is a very affordable way to help producers in times of below average rainfall. Call the risk management specialist, Martinson Ag Risk Management.
When it comes to grain storage and handling solutions, one call does it all. Gateway Building Systems is one of the largest Brock bin dealers in the U.S. Our expert team is dedicated to creating a customized plan for your future success. Expanding your operation has never been easier with our range of Brock solid bins, grain dryers, conveyors, and more. As your trusted partner, we are committed to serving the needs of farmers. Take the first step toward success and call Gateway Building Systems today.
It was October 1st, 2009. We needed some machinery for the farm. We decided to see if we could become a dealer, and that's kind of grown into what it's been today.
We offer basically anything short line. Seed tenders, fertilizer spreaders, sprayers. We can really set ourselves apart by the knowledge we have in those things, by the amount of units we have on hand at all times.
I just have a passion for helping people, getting to know people. It just becomes a lot of fun.
The owners of a small farm near Grafton, North Dakota have developed a big business on just a few acres. In 2018, the Unruh family started growing mums on the land where they already had an orchard, and the mum business has really taken off since then.
People just like the experience. They love coming out here, and there's ladies that love walking through 2,000 or 3,000 mums to find that perfect one.
Fall is mum season, especially at Oxbow Orchards in northeast North Dakota. Trevin Unruh, his wife Beth, and their 6 children grow 10,000 mums in gorgeous autumn colors every summer. They're sold at grocery and specialty stores all over the region between August and October. But about 25% of their crop is sold to people who come out to the farm.
And they just love coming out here. And it's a little bit like maybe picking the perfect Christmas tree with the family,
In addition to the mums, it's also apple season at Oxbow Orchards. The land is part of Unruh's original family farm. He started planting apple trees here as a teenager and just kept going as new breeds were developed. They now have 200 trees of different varieties.
Probably our number one seller is Zestar. That just coincides perfectly with our farmers market, the first half of selling out here. And then Honeycrisp is another great big one. So that probably accounts for 75% of my sales. There's Frostbite, it's an old breeding apple. Snow Sweet, Sweet 16. We got Connell Red, Harlson. The best one out there, Kindercrisp. That's a pretty new variety.
It's called Oxbow Orchards because it's nestled along a dry former oxbow of the Park River, which offers perfect soil and protection for the trees. You'll also find their own pumpkins, honey, and maple syrup.
So yeah, it's a good life, but it's work.
In the future, Oxbow Orchard plans to start offering tours, hosting a fall festival, and finishing the shop building to use it for sales. For our eastern South Dakota and northwestern Iowa viewers, starting October 1st, AgweekTV will be moving to Sioux Falls Live. Make sure to tune into our new channel to keep up on all things agriculture in the region. We appreciate you watching AgweekTV. Remember to check us out daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up on all your ag news. Have a wonderful week, everyone.